Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Aparutade sangamata satavara ye sorvanta bamunjantu satam. So this afternoon is our opportunity to reflect, to listen and reflect on what you hear is like this. So we're looking inward. What I say, the language I use has an effect on your mind, and you're the witness to that effect. This we call bhavana, or meditation. And the foundation for our life as samanas or as lay people is to establish this sense of dana, which is generosity. Unselfishness is a basic necessary prerequisite to bhavana. Bhavana doesn't work if we're caught up in selfish endeavors. And generosity, we call dana, and we experience that every day. The samanas here at Amaravati, we receive dana from the lay community. That's their using of dana to provide nourishment to the sangha, to develop sila and bhavana, meditation. So there's dana, sila, bhavana, the three words. The way to live life as a separate individual and to deliver yourself from the belief that you are a separate person. So bhavana is the ability that we have to reflect on the way it is. Dana is our ability to let go of just selfish interest in whatever, like meditation. People claim to have meditated for 20 years without any result. And why is that? Usually lack of dana or generosity, because the whole point of getting enlightened can become a selfish intention. Sila is the basic ground for sila, the 5 precepts, expanded to 8, 10, and 227. And this is about action and speech, how we live our life, how we act, how we speak. So the 5 precepts are basic instruction in harmlessness, not intentionally harming other beings with our physical bodies or our speech. So what we call sila or morality, translated as morality, is about action and speech. And bhavana is about mental states, the mind. So this is a very succinct and very intelligent way to reflect, dana, sila, bhavana. Like selfishness, if we lack dana or generosity, even our attempts at bhavana and even our morality is we become so infected with a sense of getting something, or our virtuous, seeing ourselves as virtuous and wanting to feel superior to others who we think aren't as virtuous. We can cling to sila as a self-identity. Our generosity, we can also cling to things, always seeing ourselves as generous and expecting a reward for it. Where in bhavana or meditation, this is based on generosity and proper conduct, in which we can develop a sense of self-respect as a human being, as a man or a woman. And that helps to deal with the bhavana, the meditation, in which we are coming to terms with mental states. And these mental states are the very thing that we cling to and identify with. The basic foundation for bhavana is Kayanu Satipatthana, which is being aware of the body. This body that we identify with. And we live in a society that's very much identified with what their appearance. Modern society is obsessed with appearance, what you look like. And so without kind of reflecting on this, we tend to be caught up in the way we've been conditioned through living in these very materialistic Western world, where appearance is emphasized as what we are. The complexion, the color of the skin, the gender of the body, the age of the body. We identify with looking youthful and young and trying to make ourselves attractive looking. And there's so many products on the market in shopping malls and supermarkets where they have so many beauty products trying to stop the aging process, or trying to increase the color of the skin, or bleach it out, or do something to it, dye the hair, straighten the teeth. Because these are how we tend to judge each other. What we see in each other is the face, the form that we identify with. So, Vipassana Satipatthana is willing to, instead of being caught up in this or trying to just deny it or condemn it, we actually observe the body is like this. The skin is like this, the nails are like this, the hair is like this. When we see it in terms of an object, rather than as something we own or criticize or take pride in, we look at hair, nails, teeth, and skin as objects, and that subjectivity, excuse me, I'm getting close to 90. So this is to emphasize Kayanupassana Satipatthana is a foundation for bhavana, just as dana and sila are foundations for living life as a human being in any society that we happen to be in. To be unselfish, generous, in charge of our actions and speech rather than just following moods of the moment in which we react unskillfully with speech or physical action. We take responsibility for these forms, but at the same time, with bhavana, we're learning to let go of our identity with the form. With the 32 parts of the body, we go a bit underneath the skin, starting observing, witnessing the experience of the internal organs that we don't tend to identify with till they cause dysfunction. So when we don't think of ourselves as kidneys or bowels or hearts, or we can think we're very intelligent, we have a good brain, we can pride ourselves on being brainy. But that's not the point. It's not about identifying with the internal organs, but witnessing they are part of the form that we strongly identify with, and when they misfunction or go wrong or get disease, then we feel very threatened because what we identify with is under threat. It can be disabled or die. So there's a great fear of death amongst material-minded people, because death is what you identify with is going to die, it's going to end, it's going to decay. And it's hard to imagine ourselves as a physical body decaying. And if you've ever seen a decaying corpse, it's not something you want to look at for very long. They're quite repulsive. So what we identify with is very superficial, surface, and not what we are. None of us are the physical bodies that we're experiencing at this very moment. The body is an ephemeral form that's subject to change, subject to other conditions. And with bhavana, we begin to take our stand with awareness, mindfulness, mindful of the body rather than identifying with it. And this very identity with it we're mindful of. You can ask yourself, am I really this physical body? Is this what I am? And is that all there is? Do I have a soul, something metaphysical inside me? We can speculate, we can believe or disbelieve, but all these attempts to identify with some kind of soul or spirit that we think is what I really am is still subject to doubt and worry because we're not sure. We don't know what it is, we don't know where it is, we just might believe what somebody tells us, or it's maybe a feeling better or feeling good about one's soul will survive after the body passes away. So we use all kinds of beliefs and words to make ourselves feel better about the life that we're experiencing and what happens after the body dies. So there's all kinds of beliefs that when you die, you're just dead, completely oblivion. There's no soul, no spirit. And others believe on how much you've lived your life. If you've been good, you go to heaven. If you've been bad, you go to hell. Or you can believe in reincarnation. You'll be reborn as something else, maybe something better or something worse. But all these are concepts that we've been given through religion or through atheist thinking patterns. And so they are, we tend to believe in some of them, and others we disbelieve, we criticize, like, is there a hell? Where is it? And some people firmly believe there is such a place called hell, and other people believe that there is no hell. But both are beliefs. They're words, they're concepts that we might grasp without knowing what we're doing. We just are used to grasping. The body is what I am, my soul is what I am, or I am nothing, I have no soul, I'm just an empty form. I can grasp that as an identity. But what I'm pointing to is that in Bhavana, we're really asking, what am I really, ultimately? And you're not looking for some kind of answer through concepts or through teachings or through scriptures, but to realize this for yourself. This is called self-realization. So when we talk about self in this aspect, self-realization, and in the Buddhist concept of anatta, there is no self. In other words, what we identify as ourselves doesn't really exist. It's not it's not something what we believe in anymore or identify with. It's phenomena that arises and ceases according to conditions. And so we observe through the Satipatthana, the four foundations of mindfulness, these different stages of feeling, of our emotional habits, and the Dhammanupassana Satipatthana, we use the Dhamma teachings of the Buddha, which I encourage, the Four Noble Truths, to point us in the right direction of letting go of identity with any concept, any form, physical form, any emotional habits, any sacred beliefs or fears or doubts that you might experience in your life. So sometimes meditation is a word that is used for any kind of mental training. So there's all kinds of meditation teachers, meditation techniques, and available now. You have the internet, you have the iPhone, iPad, through the computers, contact with various teachings, concentration teachings, how to practice samadhi, how to develop samadhi, how to train yourself to reach a state of calm and peace. But the basic delusion can still be there if we don't challenge, if we don't really investigate experience. Like experience that we have is always through the senses, through the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, through the body, through the mind. So we experience life through the senses that we identify with. But then we ask ourselves, but these experiences are, they arise and cease, they become memories. you can't carry a memory for very long. And so as you grow older, you have so many memories that, from experiences of your past that can be pleasant or unpleasant. But memory is, when you investigate memory, it's something that is very ephemeral, very, uncertain. And memories tend to fade as you get older. So our memories, do we want to live in a world of memories of past experiences? Some people do that. When you get old, you remember your youth, your romantic adventures, your successes, or you might, as you grow older, get very depressed because you remember the mistakes you've made, the sins you've committed through this form in the past. And you remember you're going to die, and that can be quite frightening or depressing to various people. So we have a lot of mental problems. So psychiatry, psychology, these are very much in the forefront of modern belief, in that we've got to work on ourselves, make ourselves better, or deal with these emotions. If we're depressed, it's seen as there's something wrong with us, or we're bipolar, or we're schizophrenic, or paranoid. We have different labels for different mental conditions. We think of ourselves as normality. And what is normal? What when they say just be normal, how do you do that? How do any of us become normal just as an act of will? It's a word and probably desirable. We'd like to be normal human beings, not weird or outside the norm of what's socially approved of and acceptable. But normal is another word that we don't really understand. It's some idea like having a soul, a personal soul that will go to either heaven or hell, or some kind of spirit, something that will be reborn again. So there's very much interest in rebirth in Buddhist societies, being reborn through good actions, through sila, through dana sila. So we can be incredibly generous and unselfish, thinking that in the next life I'll be rewarded for this. Or the sila, if we kept good sila, or we haven't. We've committed adultery, we've become alcoholics or drug addicts, or something that would be considered not particularly morally approved of. And where do you go if you've been involved in such acts of the past, such as murder or thievery or bad language, cursing others, belittling others, insulting others, bad speech? And so as we grow older, we can remember what the sins we've committed in our youth, in our age, in the aging process. And we're stuck with that, with the memories of the past. 2 years ago, my sister passed away at 91, and before she passed away, I visited her, and she was losing her short-term memory. She was in a care home, but she could remember everything about our childhood. She was 2 years older than me, and so she remembers when I first came home as an infant, and she could remember our teenage and our youth very well, but oftentimes not remember something that just happened to her. Short-term memory loss. So sometimes, one time there was an elderly woman that lived near here, Amaravati. She was a very well-educated woman that had been a lecturer at Cambridge University, and she was suffering from dementia. Sometimes we'd go and visit her, and she would always talk about her past, her youth, her days at Cambridge, her life in New Zealand, and on like that. Every time you'd go, she'd remember vividly the past. But I then ask yourself, what is the past right now at this moment? You know, when we believe in time as our reality, just coming into the temple, that's the past, remembering entering this temple a few minutes ago is a memory now. So memory is a gift we have, a mental state that has its good side, so it can be a source of much pain and misery. But we are now looking at memory no longer in such a personal way as the experience of memory. We're witnessing memory rather than clinging to it or trying to deny it or justify it. So memories in terms of Buddha Dhamma are like soul bubbles on the sea. They're really nothing. They have no real essence. They have nothing inside them. They just happen to arise according to conditions, and then they disappear. And where do memories disappear? Where do they arise from? We ask ourselves this question, where do memories arise? When memories of the past, or memories of entering the temple just a few minutes ago, and we think the brain, or they arise, but then are you going to cling to the memory of entering the temple a few minutes ago? That wasn't enough of an experience to really cling to until I pointed it out. But a memory of yesterday. Yesterday was a bank holiday. And I went to the pharmacy in Berkhamsted to get a COVID vaccination, but it was closed because I didn't realize it was a bank holiday. I remember that. That's yesterday. So I can remember that better than the memory when I first entered the temple. I'll remember the bank holiday memory more than the ordinary kind of uninteresting experience of coming into the temple, which I do quite regularly. So there are important memories, there are unimportant memories, But what is the very nature of memory? You're investigating it. One of the factors of enlightenment, second factor, is about investigating. And this is one of the reasons why many of us have become Buddhists, because this opportunity to investigate life is not really offered in such a way as we expect in our cultural experience. Or this is a very, when we look at Theravada Buddhism, it's quite a, 2,500-year-old teaching. So it's not like New Age discovery or something new that happened to arise through modern technology, but it's been available for several thousand years, because it's based on reality. And so we use this word reality. What is reality? What do we mean by this is real? And we think the memories are real, or the body's real, and I can touch the body. I experience pleasure and pain through this form. It's real. Or reality is ultimate reality. What is that? Absolute reality. And these are English words for Dhamma. The Pali word Dhamma, which is we take refuge in. So we take refuge in Dhamma, or absolute reality. But what do we mean by absolute reality? Can you touch it? Can you feel it? Can you smell it? Can you hear it? And we regularly take, I take refuge in absolute reality is still a chant, and maybe a belief. We believe in Dhamma. But if Dhamma is absolute reality, it's here and now. It can't be something far away or up high where we can't reach it. We're taking refuge in something available here and now, absolute reality. And then we see ourselves trying to find absolute reality. How do we realize absolute reality? And so we're still operating from the sense of, I've got to get something I don't have. I don't know what absolute reality really is, I believe, What does it mean? The word Dhamma, when we take refuge in Dhamma, what does that really mean? And Dhamma is apparent here and now, timeless. So when we chant in the morning, evening chants, we talk about, when we translate Dhamma, we say apparent here and now, timeless. And apparent here and now is timeless. It's not an experience we remember. Absolute reality isn't something you remember. You can't see it, smell it, taste it, touch it, feel it in any way. So when we talk about mindfulness, being aware, taking refuge in Dhamma, is awareness here and now, consciousness here and now. So can you really find consciousness as an object? As a separate person, can you really observe consciousness? So consciousness is a word that there's much interest in it because it is mysterious, and yet it's apparent here and now. Because we're all experiencing, consciousness is how we experience here and now. Consciousness is here and now. It's not something you're going to get through meditation, through concentration, through generosity or morality, but through waking up. So there's no mystery to it, except if you still see yourself as a physical form, as a personality. Then it becomes mysterious, like trying to define consciousness. Is my consciousness separate from yours? Is there a female consciousness and a male consciousness? Do Christians, they have the same consciousness as Buddhists? And so we can use the word consciousness and some kind of personal identity. But is it personal? Is consciousness, here and now, really a person? It's where the person arises, where you see yourself as a person, as a man or woman, as something or other, a monk or a nun or a lay person. These are words that we use to explain differences. But consciousness of a monk, nun, or lay person, is there a nun consciousness and a monk consciousness? We can believe there is. But apparent here and now is available to every single one of us. Lay people, samanas, male, female, these things are identities. They're sankharas, they're conditions, they're phenomena that we've created in our conditioned minds that we grasp or believe in, and we grasp them and carry them into all kinds of problems, personal problems, social problems. So in these reflections, what am I really? Am I really, when I take refuge in Dhamma, what am I doing? And then being from a background that was not Buddhist, so I don't have a cultural conditioning from childhood to Buddhism, but I was brought up as a Christian. One never asks oneself these kind of questions. You just take what you get, the beliefs that you're given. So Buddhism is something that I chose, I personally chose. I remember when I became interested in Buddhism was through, when I was in the Navy in 1955, I came across Zen Buddhism in Japan. So it had a certain interest to me because it challenged life rather than told me what to believe. It challenged beliefs and all the kind of assumptions I believed in or clung to or was influenced by through the conditioning of the ego, through the cultural conditioning, through belief or disbelief or doubt. Where that's the first time that I felt challenged by it, by something other than, do I really believe in Christianity, or I don't believe in it anymore? The belief or disbelief would challenge the very existence that one's state of being, all the beliefs, all the concepts, all the education, all the cultural, social, religious conditioning was challenged by this type of meditation, Zen Buddhist meditation. So this is why we are here, because of this challenge. It gives us a way of investigating experience. Is experience through the senses? What is it really like? Entering the temple 45 minutes ago was like this, as a memory now. Where is it? Where is the memory of entering the temple 45 minutes ago? It arises in our mind. The memory arises and also ceases there. When it ceases, where does it go? And if I remember it in another hour, well, where does it arise from? That's just a memory, an unimportant memory, which we soon will not give any importance to or cling to. But we all have memories of our past. People keep asking me, what was it like living with Luang Por Chah? That's a memory. So I have many memories of Ajahn Chah. I have memories of when I was in the Navy. I have memories when I was in high school and university and back into early childhood. And where did they come from? Where are they stored? Is there a storeroom in my brain for memories? Why do we lose? When we get old, we lose our memories. What happens to memories when they're lost? But awareness, conscious awareness here and now, is not a memory. You don't remember it, it's what you really are. And that conscious awareness is impersonal. It's not male or female or lay person or samana. It's not even Buddhist. It's reality itself. This is reality, this is real, this isn't something that we create or is part of Buddhist tradition, or because the Buddha's teaching says, in his first sermon, the Four Noble Truths, was a direct pointing at ultimate reality. So the third noble truth is Nirodha, or the end of suffering. Where does suffering end? Where do memories cease? Where does everything cease? Where does the body cease when we die? The body dies. Does consciousness cease? And of course the sensory consciousness ceases because it's very dependent on very delicate senses like eyes and ears, senses that are subject to decay long before one passes away. So sensory consciousness is very impermanent. It's connected to the body. So in the five khandhas, the body and then consciousness are impermanent. So sensory consciousness arises through senses, but consciousness itself doesn't arise, doesn't need senses. It's here and now, apparent here now, timeless. Ehipassiko, come and see. It's like a command or an invitation. Find out for yourself. Ehipassiko, opanayiko. And it means not trying to find it as an object. You can't see it with a microscope or telescope. You can't find consciousness. It's like trying to find yourself. Who am I? And then the body, I'm the body, but you're not always conscious of the body. When you're asleep, you aren't aware of your body. But is consciousness, does it die when you sleep? The senses don't function usually in deep sleep. In dream sleep, you have mental images. But does consciousness come and go as you sleep and awake? Or is consciousness apparent here and now, timeless? Come and see for yourself, looking inward, because we're not seeking it outwardly anymore, trying to find it or define it, but it's the state of being, existing here and now in this state of awareness, conscious awareness. So I offer this as a reflection for this afternoon.